Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
Shanghai, Singapore, Rotterdam, Hong Kong, some of the world's leading trading hubs. And now there's one more name added to that list, Abu Dhabi. Hello and welcome to a special show on CNBC TV 18 called Kizad, the Industrial Zone of Tomorrow, where we take a look at how Abu Dhabi, and specifically the Khalifa Industrial Zone Abu Dhabi, or Kizad, is all set to become the next global trading and industrial hub. Global trade has increased multifold over the last few decades. Multiple factors have led to this increase, and now the world is one interconnected organization. Globalization has been the buzzword for the last few decades, with companies making their presence felt in countries across the globe. With the emergence of the East as the factory of the world, there has been more and more importance placed on the East-West trade corridor. As global trade flourished, trading hubs have bloomed, providing multiple benefits to traders while also developing their own region. One of these important trading hubs is Abu Dhabi. The capital of the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi has played a key role on the global front ever since it became the first of the Emirates to start exporting oil in 1962. Abu Dhabi now is an important financial, commercial and cultural center in the Middle East, geographically placed to service the East and the West with equal ease. Being one of the world's largest producers of oil, its rapid development, coupled with the high average income of its population, has transformed Abu Dhabi into an advanced global metropolis.
We would have to look at Abu Dhabi as a part of the global trade, as a link between East and West, as one of the key cornerstones to give the ability for people traveling or commodities traveling from East to West or West to East to be able to find a good center point for distribution. And we can see through that we have a lot of ports that are very active in being the link between the East and the West in that space. Within 4 time zones, you literally are able to talk to anywhere from China to London, right? And that gives you a huge base for being able to do day-to-day transactions where you have common working hours, where you have the ability to talk to them, and within 5-6 hours of flying you are able to access over 100 major cities. At the same time, we believe as Abu Dhabi, given the fact that it is with this fabulous infrastructure, gives you a gateway to the Middle East. Through a number of agreements, Abu Dhabi and UAE have the GCC, or the Gulf Countries Customs Union, which allows you, by accessing through Abu Dhabi, to access the rest of the GCC, but also through the Greater GAFTA, or the Greater Arab Free Trade Agreement, to be able to access 20 countries within the Middle East.
Well, the role that Abu Dhabi plays in the global maritime grid is very much a growing one. Historically, the Gulf and Abu Dhabi and the UAE was serviced on the Asia-Europe trades as a stopover, if you will. But in the last 10 years, the Gulf trade, and more specifically the UAE and Abu Dhabi trade, has been growing to such a significance that actually now the global shipping line markets are forming 2 butterflies, if you will, from the Far East to the Gulf, and to more specifically UAE and Abu Dhabi, and then the other side from Europe to Abu Dhabi and the UAE. So the reason for that, of course, is the growing market and the availability of world-class infrastructure and logistic services.
In November 2010, the president of UAE unveiled Kizad, or the Khalifa Industrial Zone Abu Dhabi. Kizad is a planned 417 square kilometer site, which when completed will be the world's largest industrial free trade and non-free trade zone, thus further cementing Abu Dhabi's importance in the global trade spectrum.
Kizad is a very interesting initiative by Abu Dhabi government, as its ability to diversify and enable an economy that is diversifying its GDP contributions. Kizad, as Khalifa Industrial Zone Abu Dhabi, is focusing on promoting industry. And by doing that, it is basically becoming an enabler, providing location, land, as well as infrastructure, from transport as well as utilities, to act as, in what they call in the IT world, a plug-and-play solution. So our solution is that we provide all the hardware and software for an industry to come and have all the utilities, infrastructure, roads, as well as all the services, where we offer over 300 services through our one-stop shop that can be accessed even through the portal or in person or through the phone. That gives you the ability to ease of setup and ease of operation.
Kizad started in 2007. We've started a conceptual master plan of 417 square kilometers. First phase of the project was around 86 square kilometers on a conceptual planning basis. And that was the basis for Kizad.
Envisioned as part of the Abu Dhabi 2030 economic plan, Kizad will play an important role in sustainable development in the Emirates.
Abu Dhabi 2030 economic vision is a vision to diversify Abu Dhabi's economy, and it has a number of goals. Diversify economy, reduce volatility, and create sustainable development.
The key theme in the planning of Kizad was the word holistic. What do we mean by holistic? Holistic means that we have everything in place, from industrial plots to from industrial to residential to community services at one place, which is the basics of developing a sustainable community, which is Kizad, creating the industrial zone of tomorrow.
Kizad consists of two areas, Area A and Area B. Area A is connected to the port. So most of the uses that in Area A include industrial uses and logistics uses, warehouse and industrial. On the other hand, in Area B, it's purely allocated for workforce accommodation and a technical hub in addition to logistics. For example, we can allocate high-tech industries over there. We can allocate logistics and convention centers. The reason that we have Area B, most part of the land for accommodation, because we cannot allocate workers' accommodation in industrial areas for safety reasons.
An integral piece of the Kizad story is the Khalifa Port. The flagship port of the Abu Dhabi Ports Company, the Khalifa Port's first phase opened for operation in 2012. The first semi-automated container terminal in the area, the port has a current capacity of 2.5 million TEUs and 12 million tons of general cargo a year, which is expected to grow to 15 million TEUs and 35 million tons of general cargo by 2030.
Khalifa Port is situated almost in the middle between two big cities. And if you just look at the location, we sit between Abu Dhabi city and Dubai. Of course, we are surrounded by two important ports. We have Mina Zayed in Abu Dhabi city, we have Jebel Ali just close by. Also, if you look at the airports around us as well, we are almost in the middle of these airports. You have Abu Dhabi, you have Al Ain, you have Al Maktoum, and then you have close by the Dubai airport. The road connectivity as well to Khalifa Port and the rail network, which is coming nearly in the future as well. It's very well connected to these infrastructure, and we are almost well connected internally and externally even to the global markets.
The way Khalifa Port and Kizad are complementing each other is that it's effectively built as an integrated value proposition. Khalifa Port is the main gateway into the Emirate of Abu Dhabi. We also service other markets in the UAE, but it serves very much as an enabler for the industrial zone. The Khalifa Industrial Zone is going to be one of the largest industrial zones in the world. The Khalifa Port provides direct access into that industrial zone on the import side as well as on the export side. So literally within minutes you could get your container stuffed if you produced goods in the industrial zone. Half an hour later you can have it on board the ship and within bonded areas and enjoying free zone regime. So that's very much how the two support each other, and is of course an extra growth factor into the economy of Abu Dhabi as well.
You're watching Kizad, the industrial zone of tomorrow. It's time for a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Kizad, the industrial zone of tomorrow. Now, Kizad is divided into two areas of 51 square kilometers and 366 square kilometers. Both these areas put together have on offer a wide variety of products that will suit all trading and industrial needs.
The core business of Kizad is creating an environment for industrial companies to come in, to lease land and to build their own facility, whether it's a manufacturing facility or a logistics facility. My team, the project development team, we act like an in-house property developer, and what we do is we actually take land within Kizad and we build products for customers that lease them. So whether that's pre-built warehouses, so we have a Kizad logistics park, which is storage and distribution warehouses. We have that for both the free zone and for non-free zone tenants. We're also developing staff accommodation for industrial companies to lease accommodation for their workers. We're developing some free zone offices. We're doing some light industrial units for light manufacturing, and we're also doing some local and district retail centres.
Pre-built warehouses in Kizad are being developed over 3 phases. Phase 1 is nearing completion. We are looking to hand over these units by mid-December this year. The planning, design and execution of these warehouses is state-of-the-art and eco-friendly. The response so far has been overwhelming. In fact, almost 60% of our pre-built warehouses are already leased.
Kizad is marketing to various industrial clusters, and it has a master plan designed to be able to fit and accommodate those various clusters. These include aluminum cluster with a primary aluminum smelter Imal already operational for several years, steel cluster, paper, print and packaging, food, pharma, chemicals, mixed use, which is capturing a lot of industries that have interesting propositions but do not necessarily follow exactly those earlier mentioned clusters. Trade and logistics is another one, and engineered metal products. So these are the clusters that we're marketing, and the mixed use cluster is a cluster where we really cater for interesting projects that may not fit that specific cluster name.
We have 8 clusters that are designed and integrated vertically, which in simple term means that for each cluster we have anchor tenant who feeds into the mid and downstream businesses in Kizad, so that they have a ready supply of raw material from day one. A good example of how this works, in the aluminium cluster, our anchor tenant Imal supplies raw aluminium in molten form to mid and downstream factories like Talix, for example, to produce other products like alloy wheels, pumps, and kitchen foil.
In Kizad, we've recognized through research that international investors really value the ease of doing business. Ease of doing business means that you come to a single window. We have in fact developed a one-stop shop. This one-stop shop is an environment where the investor can actually access 17 different government agencies through one location, where we in fact will be doing the running on behalf of the customer, getting him the various approvals, licenses, no objections and so forth. So that is really designed to make the life for investors easier and reduce the red tape, bureaucracy, etc., and make it really a pleasant and fast experience.
The one-stop shop, or OSS, as we call it, it is a facility that Kizad offers all its investors from the time they sign their SMAs, Standard Musataha Agreement, right through groundbreaking on their project and beyond.
People can start from applying for visas, to getting their company registered, to applying for approvals for permitting in terms of environmental, building permits, architectural, structural, and all of that, doing that completely online and working with their consultants and getting that up and running.
It's time for a short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Kizad, the industrial zone of tomorrow. Hello and welcome back to Kizad, the industrial zone of tomorrow. Now, Kizad is all set to increase the global trade and commerce in the Middle East, and that will definitely benefit the locals, but it is also providing a number of opportunities to Indian businesses.
India is the first trade partner of the UAE, and that has been growing, and there has been substantial growth over the last few years. There is great relationships on the G2G level, and at the same time, we believe that India has a major market within the GCC. So back again to the idea that Abu Dhabi is the gateway to a wider GCC environment it gives you that ability to be able to create and benefit from some of the key value propositions that are offered for Indian companies to come and benefit from excellent infrastructure, reliable power sector, availability, as well as the fact that we are exposing a lot of these companies through initiatives such as the Expo 2020 and other type of international events which are being carried out within the UAE.
The procedure to apply for land or set up a company in Kizad is very simple. It's very much an ease of doing business. It's one of our key values in setting up business in Kizad. Companies can actually approach us through the website, through the call center, or by way of phone. The process is very fast and easy. It's a short form that needs to be filled, and typically within 2 weeks a customer will receive an offer for land or whatever the customer is looking for. So it's really a business-friendly, low-threshold environment and fast to do business and set up a business in Kizad.
At Kizad, we are not only targeting large enterprises, but we also offer excellent solution to small and medium enterprises. We understand the investment needs of Indian SMEs. Hence, Kizad is designing a product specifically suited for these enterprises.
Kizad is currently been in operation for the last 2 or 3 years. And at this point of time, we are almost 90% done with our infrastructure. So we are well suited in terms of receiving the Indian companies to come and set up. The key advantages which I think the Indian companies have is one, UAE or Abu Dhabi is a no tax regime. So that is a big plus for Indian companies. The second is the utilities cost are much lower than what is going on in India right now. So it is much beneficial for them for basically bringing down the operating cost. And thirdly, we are offering a long lease agreement which goes up to around 50 years, which is really where Indian companies can think in terms of being here for a longer period of time.
Uniquely amongst industrial zones in the region, we grant our occupiers, our tenants, real property rights. It's not a lease, it's a real property right that you have for 50 years, which means that it's bankable, you can use it as your security, you can use it as part of your collateral, and it is recognized by international and local banks. What it also means is that these agreements are registerable. You can register them at the land registry, and again, we've been at the forefront of this. You can register them at the land registry, which means that you then have a right over this land for the period of time that is opposable against all third parties, including us. You own this in the same way that you own your house.
In an endeavor to make it easy for Indian businesses to set up in Kizad, the Kizad authorities have recently opened their first Indian office in Mumbai.
We believe that India and Mumbai are the right destination for us. There is great ties, there is great connectivity, and there is really history of trade between the two countries. And I think that this is a demonstration today that our decision of opening an office in Mumbai as the first Kizad office outside UAE is the right choice.
This is, I guess, the 4th time that we're in Mumbai itself. We've been also to Delhi and Hyderabad and other cities in India. As always, the Indian market is very, very responsive to what we have to offer. We're also delighted that we have a liaison office now here in Mumbai to deal and better serve that potential. It's been very, very good, very mature response.
What do you think Kizad will do for Abu Dhabi and India's trade relations?
I believe it will do very good things for both India and the UAE.
Well, that brings us to the end of our special show, Kizad, the Industrial Zone of Tomorrow. From the entire team, thank you for watching.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.